Hi, I'm here reporting from Brandon Farley's lab.
Yeah,
Can I say your name even?
sure.
I'm kind of tired. Should I do this?
Should we?
Do you want? It's got tint in it.
You want me to put on lipstick?
Uh,
No, I mean, I just maybe some of this needs to be addressed. The fact that Econ Breakfast is totally fixated on brain garbage and me, and it's just now that he's trying to pin the fixation on us when we're not mentioning him 20, 30 times a day. I'm really just trying to go about my day to, get to know this person and get to my video editing done and making films. But Econ isn't even a thought until people from his audience come over on my feed and start, calling me creepy stalker or transphobic or something. And this is the narrative that an actual creepy stalker and an actual transphobe is pinning on me. I mean, if you look at the way that Econ Breakfast talks about, trans people, you think that he has a self-hatred towards them, being identified as that. And
what about that smutty tweet about Antifa patriot porn?
and the fact that he tries to sexualize, like, saying, "Oh, I am not interested in their sex lives." Like, what's going on, Econ? You're just get it through your head. This is not going to be a threeple type situation. We're not going to have. I mean, get out of our.
So you can do that too. You want to
Yes.
show? Can we do
Can I
like
do
a
it while you're in
simul?
my lap?
Yeah, a simultaneous like demonstration of flexibility.
Okay.
Okay. Screenshot that, yo.
Yoga with
Yoga, man.
Farley Name. You did this Econ Breakfast. We had to address your harassment, your targeted online harassment.
Oh, are you gonna come up with the apology for the terrible emails,
Um,
or an apology for the emotion of the anger, of the retaliation, of the
okay.
yeah?
So I am sorry. I'm really sorry that my emails have led to a campaign of targeted harassment for several months. I'm sorry that I gave Econ Breakfast the idea that I was interested in him in any way. Really, it's just me wanting to shake him off of my clothing as he's latching on. I was making fun of this person. Sure, they're entertaining. Yeah, I like some of his writing, some of his videos, and I was a fan to begin with until Econ started targeting me and then started coming after my friends and people I'm close to. Like, it just became a sick, like, he's basically just an abuser who's living out his fantasies online in a safe setting. And he also comes to these protests and likes to shove his cameras in people's faces, talk about these, alleged sexual harassment that if you look at it in context, is nothing like that. And what he is doing is far worse than anything I've ever said with sexual undertones.
Well, it's kind of like I'm being punished right now for emails you wrote when I barely even know you existed. I knew you existed online, but I never met you. I never talked to you, and I feel like I'm being punished, and I don't support or condone the aggressive tone. I think it kind of fell into the theme of like the bullying or hazing culture where men bully each other. It just keeps escalating. The jokes keep, and it's like the point where it's not funny anymore. And I think that's when you started to have a heart. You were feeling like, oh, is my kind of aggressive humor style going to be misinterpreted? Is this person going to become a danger to themselves?
Yes.
And that's when I think we were starting to talk, and you were like really worried about it. And I was worried too, because at first I thought he was like an alienated friend, because he talks about you so much that it seems like you guys had a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Maybe that's how he wants it to be presented.
Exactly, and that's how I feel like I'm being portrayed. It's like I'm some deep associate of his, and
Econ is quite the character, losing followers by the tweet. And each of them are Brandon Farley related. So maybe that's telling you something, Econ. Maybe you should think about writing about something else. You have good writing style. You're good at making videos, so why not just put those skills to good use and realize that I can still be your ally. Like, we're filming a protest. I see people picking on you. Imagine if you were on my good side. I know these people. I could say, hey, all I have to do is say, hey, just back off Econ a little. And they probably will. But, you've made yourself a target. And you've taken on targets. You've bitten off more than you could chew by coming after Farley.
well, maybe you can be all merciful, and maybe you can still get people to back off.
I probably will.
You can back off. You can get them to back off.
It takes the bigger person. You show who the bigger person is to turn them, I don't know. I'll get him. I'll win him. I don't want to win him over, but I want something to happen to where we're not constantly after each other with this egotistical feuding online. That's really him trying to turn me into
a monster.
Yeah. And trying to turn himself into the victim.
Right, and like I think in the deep undercurrent I'm getting is there's some kind of fandom going on where like literally, okay, as I'm like he's beating the drum of Brandon Michael Farley. I'm like, what is it with Brandon Michael Farley? Maybe I should know. So
you could put this one on my radar. So thank you, Econ.
Yeah, I know you're like a really good matchmaker, like yeah. matchmaker. Yeah, but I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't really that friendly, or what's the obsession, or is anything going to change? Because it would be one thing for me to just see a random tweet and be like, oh, Economy Breakfast, that's a kind of cute name, and like, oh, are you a friend, an ally, a foe, or overly familiar, a stranger?
Yeah, it's hard to take in.
And then I try to ask, and I get blocked, and I'm like, now I'm a target? And that...
For simply being inquisitive.
Targeting someone and then also like blocking them, the like denial of the right of reply, every time you're tweeting about me today, say for instance, like, or whatever, the 19th, it's the 20th at midnight or almost 1 a.m, but I was not sent a notification because of your blocking. So your blocking is a careful way that you can try to conceal your stalking from me, but I know you're stalking Econ Breakfast. And so the blocking is basically an instrument of your stalking my account and overly using my hashtag in a way that makes me uncomfortable.
And adding us, like, that's not a true block if you're putting an at Farley Media and at Brain Garbage.
And when I realized there's an unspoken rule of Twitter etiquette, which maybe Economy Breakfast needs some like etiquette classes for Twitter, that if you're going to block someone, it indicates you want no contact. Mm-hmm. And it's as if the block is a restraining order and you are violating the restraining order by constantly harassing the person you're trying to block. So if you pull back and look at what the block entails, there is a social expectation that once you've blocked me, you're not going to harass me constantly because something I said upset you. And instead you want to stay upset by dwelling on the person you block. But I don't even know if your block is somewhat malicious. I think your block is a way of targeting and harassing, and then it seems to be your friends pick up on your blockology, your blockathon or whatever, and you want to basically get them all to block me, even if some of them were previously people I was vaguely associated with or vaguely knew, or like Munjin Cakes no longer wants me to send him a message, even though I've been talking to him for like 5 years, because you have this targeted campaign of censorship against my communications. And those being like, oh, I'm not allowed to ask a stupid question to someone I never met. Oh, the someone I never met happens to be in the wrong political spectrum. But from a journalistic standpoint, you can't even actually have journalism if you only talk to one side. If you only talk to one side, you're a propagandist. If you're a journalist, you're willing to speak to and engage with multiple sides and multiple human information sources. Human intelligence.
Listen to her, Econ. She's the smartest person I know.
So it's poor journalism, and you're basically convicting me for being a journalist. And our State Department, our foreign policy, our public information technologies are opposed to the repression of journalists, but you're essentially repressing journalism in your own country. And those are things that I've long term been opposed to. So I don't know, I just would hope you would think about it from a deeper meaning and method. And I noticed you were extremely polite to my white male friend from Texas who lives in the UK. And I noticed the politeness you showed him, you did not show me, Mr. Eng. So
Misogyny.
yeah.
And probably racism. I mean, I don't.
Well, and my mom thinks maybe you hate me because I have an Asian last name, which also happens to be Norwegian. My mom's smart. She's been facing anti-Asian discrimination because we are named Eng, and it's a very common Chinese last name.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you have your campaign against anti-NGO or no.
Yeah.
And
Targets Asian minorities.
and you keep targeting him even after he's been violently assaulted. It seems you are trying to incite another violent assault, which that's when I realized, okay, you're going to put a target on my back? That's when I am concerned. I want this to be completely documented with any relevant agencies pertaining to somewhere I live, somewhere a loved one lives, somewhere a former stalker lives, or somewhere I might be going or might have other friends. And so it's on the record, it's on the books that you're doing this. It's concerning. I'm starting to...
Look, it is very concerning. Honestly, I'm going to say it in person now. I mean, I know he's been served a few times in formally written letters from the offices of Realman Law, but I just want to say formally, from man to man, Econ, please cease and desist all of your operations. Stop talking about us. Just let us be happy. And go do your little corgi filming. Go, whatever it is you do. What's your hobby? What have you been doing outside of Farley for the last 8 months? I'm your obsession, and it used to be flattering. Now it's disgusting, and I'm kind of scared of how far this will escalate. Should I be worried? Is this person gonna I don't know, try to stab me in the back when I'm walking down the street? If he's
Yeah, and also there's the potential that, say, Econ Breakfast isn't personally violent, even though Econ doesn't have any responsibility for the people he may be inciting. What if there's someone who is dangerously psychologically disturbed, who's reading his feed thinking, Mary Eng, she's a dangerous person, Mary Eng.
That's right.
You're associating me with people I barely know, have never met, have had barely one tweet with.
And I recently had assassination threats from one of his followers.
And Econ doesn't want to have any accountability for trying to pump up the hatred. Pumping up hatred is a precursor of fascism. It's what they did to get their...
It's how a little man can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Is you just pump up a crowd of idiots who will you get the lingo, okay? You're smart enough to know what will piss them off to come after me, to come after my friends, it's really sick.
Well, then maybe it's bloodlust. Maybe he just really actually wants something. I mean, I studied things like the murder and assassination of journalist Anna Politkovskaya, who was executed in her elevator of her building. That's Jill Dando, the journalist in the UK, who was executed on the steps of her home. Those kinds of things are things that actually really happen. And when you're feeding dangerous misinformation, disinformation to a very kind of unbalanced, unintelligent, hypo, what do you call it? They're brainwashing victims. You are feeding your brainwashing victims dangerous disinformation which may incite radicalisms that you don't want to be responsible for. And that's a part of my request.
It's very Charles Manson-esque, if you ask me. I mean, no, he didn't personally kill those people, but he did influence it to happen. And I think you are an influencer. You don't realize the power you have, even though you're just, 2,000 followers or less than that. But you do have a lot of power, and especially when you take on one subject and are constantly filling the air with this person is bad, this person is dangerous, this person is a threat.
Farley apologized on Twitter. Was the apology accepted? What level of apology for his retaliatory emails? The emails came after you homestucked. The homestuck put him in danger of becoming homeless again. You threatened his well-being when you homestucked. You're not taking accountability for that. And when he sent these aggressive emails, they were meant to get you to back off and be scared. Just fuck off forever. That's what you should read it as.
Don't stalk me. Don't send your goons. I'm trying to out crazy you so you stop messaging or stop tagging me in all these posts and sending these crazy masked thugs to my apartment to vandalize my neighborhood. You don't, it's just been snowball effect of thing after thing that really started from Econ appearing at my house at night with this creepy old man with a projector, munching cakes, and serenading me with Disney princess music, and yeah, it was funny, I guess, to some people. It wasn't funny to me. It was pretty disturbing, but it also not only showed people where I live, which is doxing, but it also gave them the right in their minds to further prank me, and their pranks escalated. Death threats on signs, calling me, literally doxing my home address, my name, my information, saying lies on these posters all throughout my neighborhood, something that could get somebody killed. Econ, if somebody sees these things on these posters that are alleging that this person is doing, a mentally unstable person could see these posters, look at my unit number, look at my address,
and sure, yeah,
come and beat down my door and bludgeon me, kill me. But you're treating it as a joke. You started it. So did Munchkin Cakes. He was the original Flying Farley back in April 2019.
I mean, to give them any leeway, I think, not to excuse what they did, I think they're doing it because you are talented at editing. You are talented at speaking your mind, which they're not allowed to do. Their cult doesn't permit them to have independent thoughts. And they're jealous of that, and they're jealous of your looks and your well-spokenness. You have a lot to offer. You have a lot of charisma. Even if they don't agree with your method or your opinions, you have something that maybe they don't, or they want to learn from you.
Yeah.
So I think in a way, jealousy is kind of beastly because they're treating you really...
Like, do you guys want tutorials on how to be me? Or, I know you can't really teach the looks part, but, I do have editing skills. Like, if you guys want to learn how to edit, learn how to create videos, I'm willing to teach Antifa, how to be creative and maybe it'll give them time to focus on a technical skill instead of going out and terrorizing the neighborhoods. But to me, it just looks like boredom. It looks like you guys just have nothing to do. You don't have any real skills.
Well, maybe they'll get a new crush. There are other beautiful people in the world.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. And I'm not the only one in Portland. Why... I'm really kind of on everyone's side here because I'm not just telling the story of the Patriots in their protests, but when Antifa lets me, I'll embed myself in their stuff and it's entertaining. It's entertainment news, and yes, there's an element of comedy and satire, but the videos are real. They've gone viral a few times. Just accept it. When you get in front of my camera, you might go viral, or you might get arrested. And if you're not willing to do that, maybe just don't show up to protests anymore. If it's that big of a danger to you.
So what do you think about him using your full three names, using your middle name? It reminds me of when kids get in trouble. Brendan Michael Farley. Like,
I think it's a form of flirtation, honestly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I'm not reciprocating his come-ons, his constant...
Right, and at this point, he's like an overbearing sexual harasser that you've I've told you to stop sending me all these secret messages. You keep sending me messages because the messages are targeted at you and then now me.
Stop talking about my genitalia. Stop talking about your perceived sex life that I have. Or whatever. Like, quit insinuating the things that aren't true. If you want to be considered as a real journalist, I would just leave me out of it because I'm trying to be I'm not even a story.
Yeah.
I make the stories. I record the stories.
Right.
But you're trying to make me the format here. So, no, you can't. I feel bad for you guys. I really hope you get it together and stop targeting us and figure your life out. You're living in this city like the rest. Like, we're in this together.
I think we might have to make more, because I want to start opening the Econ tweets and then letting the public know in a video blog format. But
yeah, that could be our next
one. Yeah,
to actually read them and
read
psychoanalyze
them.
These
because
disturbing tweets.
Yeah,
they're just constant.
Or it's also disability awareness because not everybody can read, and some people are dyslexic. And to know that there's this type of internet bullying and internet stalking, it's kind of maybe important for people to understand that this might happen to their kids. This might provoke their kids to commit suicide or do something dangerous, or become isolated or depressed or despairing.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Barley.
Thank you. Yeah.